Beer. Sparkling, golden, pure. A beverage as old as history.
You got beer for us?
I do, actually. Open up a little bit of wit beer for us. What the heck?
I accept.
Breakfast beer, right?
Okay. If you say so, you're the expert.
I know. Well, it's got oats and grapefruit peel and things like that, so why not?
Ooh, it's got a nice pop when you open it.
A nice pop.
So Tommy and I are gathered here today to celebrate ourselves with a glass of morning beer, but not just that. We're also here to tell you about the fact that we're going to be shipping Tommy off to Berlin in the future to make a special beer. Now, in the world of special beers, what's so special about a special beer? That's kind of requires some contemplation.
I know what makes it special. I've never made beer in Germany.
Okay.
That'll make it special.
Special to me.
Sure. I think it's just, you know, an opportunity for us to collaborate with Stone on our very first beer. You know, we've known each other for a long time. We've had a great relationship, and clearly with us operating in your, you know, original space, that brings a lot of energy and shared kindred spirit to the table. So I think the energy is where it's going to be, for sure.
Okay, so I got a postulate on what makes this actually special. And get your thoughts on it.
My thoughts on it. Well, at this point, we don't even know what we're brewing yet, right? So we can speak to that. We have a lot of time to really focus on an amazing conceptual beer, and then work to deliver that beer. But we still don't know what we're making yet, do we?
No, and a lot of people will want to know. I get that, but I suppose this is, you know, some level of. We got a bit of a reputation between the two of our breweries. Yeah. So my thought process with this whole collaboration is, like you mentioned, the fact that we are going to contemplate it and plan it for such a long period of time. I definitely think we'll take, you know, ideas that you've been developing in your own head and maybe even thought of doing here, but this will be a perfect place, a perfect opportunity to do it. And we'll spend time on email and phone, and you really want to spend most of your time working with Mitch.
Sure. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know. I mean, there's one thing.
Brew at Stone, you're not going to pick me necessarily.
No, it's one thing to imagine it, but it's really another thing to imagine it with how are we going to implement it, and that's, you know, you could really get lost in the details if you try really hard to be super creative with something and so sort of out of the norm that the process it almost fails the beer because you can't make the beer happen. So getting with Mitch and getting with the staff of the brewers and saying this is how we sort of imagined the beer to be, but now you have to deliver on that, and that's a big part of the collaborative process is how do you come through the imagination portion and get to the delivery of it. I think that the chief thing that we'll look at is really having a yeast-driven beer, a beer with a lot of yeast expression. Beyond that, we'll look at some of the processes and things that we may have sort of toyed with here in this space or at other places and see if they have an ability to be implemented into a beer like that. It's pretty much 110% certainty we'll break the Reinheitsgebot portion of the brewing process there because we're kind of known for that. And beyond that, we may look at an ingredient or two that we've never used and say it's something we've been reserving and, you know, reserving the right to use or want to use, and this might be a good place for that to happen.
And ageability factor of the beer?
Hopefully really high. Again, with the technology you guys possess and the packaging and the brewing, I would absolutely think that we would be looking at a hugely, you know, ageable beer. It's something we do a lot of work with here, and we understand how beer ages, and it's always a hope of ours to create long-lasting impressions.
So 5-year plus?
At least, yeah. I would hope for more.
You're picking Mitch at Stone, which is a pretty understandable thing to do as a brewing partner, the lead brewing partner on our behalf. Why? He
is a great brewer and an asset to the San Diego brewing community, and I think having someone with his background right around the corner from us is just fantastic.
But you've decided not to brew just a beer just with Mitch. You want a third collaborator, which I think is a lot of fun, this sort of mystery element. But
yeah.
Who's it going to be?
We've done a lot of collaborative beers over the years and always have chosen a domestic sort of, you know, American craft brewing partner, whether it was someone from a smaller brewery and wanted to give them a chance to work in our environment, someone who had wild yeast backgrounds and things like that. At this point, you know, we talked about a couple of different people, but I don't know whether you want me to release that or whether you've gained, you know, I don't know if we've talked about it, but I think it'd be fun to
well, in my opinion, it's fun to keep
it under wraps, right?
But you know, people always want to know. Well, if I knew that, then I would make the purchase. Well, that's up to you. It's up to
How
you.
about
You're
how
not
about
gonna know that right now? And if you want to wait, then wait, and you can buy it on the regular market for more expensive.
I'm hoping to work with a Belgian brewer friend of mine. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, and
So what do you think they're going to bring, and what sort of attitude, experience, techniques?
well, I think that in a lot of ways, if we're going to make a yeast-driven beer, a really flavorful beer, and yeast is sort of the central component to that, that's going to be a big deal. You know, someone who really understands and how yeast behaves. I think that the Belgian sort of philosophy of brewing, which I've adopted over the years, which is that sort of anything goes, but anything goes with a lot of reason behind it, and a lot of understanding, just for technical brewing. And I hope that combining a Belgian spirit with sort of an American willingness and what I want to do, and your guys' ability to really dial in the house character, meaning that you guys understand how the brewery works and just extract the most love out of the beer we can. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. So cheers to that. It's pretty exciting that we live 4 miles apart and I'm going 3,000 plus miles to jump on the brew platform.